So in today's video, I will be talking about which Linux distro I use when I want to use Linux on my desktop PC. And I am going to be honest with you guys and say that I do distro hop a ton. I use lots of different Linux distributions, so this is just one that I felt like was unique, and I really have spent, I've kept it on my PC for a little while. And I'm not going to lie and say I do still spend most of my time in Windows actually, just because of some different optimizations, and for some reason it feels snappier on my hardware, but I do also use Linux, so I mean I use both worlds. But let's jump right into what Linux distribution I use. So, as you can see right now, if you do know a little bit about Linux, you might recognize this Linux distribution right here to be Zorin OS. So if I type in Neofetch, you can see right here that I am running Zorin OS, and I have had this installed on my computer for I think a couple of months now. And I just can say it's really been a great experience. Just the overall look of the desktop, the feel of it, it's snappy. It just does a lot of stuff that I want to do. So, first of all, you may ask, well, just why did you go Zorin OS? What's special with this Linux distribution that you went for it? Well, I've seen many screenshots and videos of Zorin OS, and I was just drawn to the visual appearance of this desktop. Like, it just has a really clean and minimalist type of look to it. I like how it all functions, and I am a little bit familiar with this since it is based on GNOME. And so what I decided to do, I already had Manjaro on my Linux SSD, so I partitioned it and I installed Zorin OS on half of it, or a little bit more than half of it. So I installed it and it just felt really snappy with my hardware, and I enjoyed like all of the features in it. They just all felt so good. And I am a pretty big Arch fan, so sure, I wasn't that happy that this was based on Ubuntu, but I did start out with like Debian Ubuntu based distro, so I don't have any problem with using it. It's super just like welcoming and easy to use for me. Yeah, I would rather this been built on Arch, but I understand that this is a desktop built for more beginner type of people, so that's why they want to go on a more stable distro like Ubuntu, which makes sense for me. So, I mean, it just had a really beautiful desktop, good software, it's based on Ubuntu, and it's stable, it's really well maintained, and it's just like a really professional type of Linux distribution that I think anyone can actually pick up and use, if they're actually willing to do a little bit of learning, of course. Yeah, so that's basically why I chose this Linux distribution. But now I think I'll go over, talk about some of my desktop features, what I've done to change, what the desktop actually does by default, and I'll just give you guys a little tour of what Zorin OS really looks like. So first of all, I do want to mention the default Zorin taskbar actually, it doesn't look like this. But the Zorin devs have done an amazing job, and they've actually installed this app in here called Zorin Appearance. So this app I really do love. It has a ton of amazing features. So first of all, I am on Zorin OS 16 Core. I did not pay for the Pro version. If you do pay for the Pro version, you get a couple of additional desktop layouts, which they are cool, but I personally didn't pay for it, so I'm just going to stick to these. So this is what Zorin OS comes like when you first install it, which I do think it looks pretty cool. It kind of has that Windowsy look. We have all our apps right here, the Windows 10 type of look. We have show our desktops, and here we have a nice little menu that we can just see all of our applications, and we can search for them like File Manager, and it will come up right there. So it's a really nice, simple, like if you like this look, go for it. I really do think it's cool. The next one is this one, and it just shrinks our taskbar a little bit, and our open apps actually show like the full title right here, which I personally don't love, as like it doesn't look as pretty, but it still is pretty functional. We have the same menu right here to open up all our applications, just the taskbar is a little bit shrunken down, and we have this. Next right here, this is going to be pretty much like vanilla GNOME that you would install on something like Arch or base Debian. So it's going to be default like GNOME. You have everything on the top taskbar, you click this, and you can see all of your applications. Of course, this is based on GNOME 38. They haven't updated to the latest GNOME 40 or even GNOME 41. So you are going to have the older GNOME 38 look, which honestly, I don't really care that much. I think it's still a fairly good desktop experience. And then there's the one that I was using right here. So this one is kind of a mix between have Windows 11 kind of with your app icons in the middle, and then you click right here and you have GNOME. So this one is just kind of unique since it's a mix of all the different type of desktop layouts kind of in one. And I like being able to see all my apps in full screen. I don't know, it just gives a kind of a little different of experience. I think it's cool, it's unique, and that's why I've stuck to that. And having that my app icons in the middle after using Windows 11 for some time, I think it's a pretty nice, and I like the experience like that. And then we have our time right here, and it looks pretty much like default GNOME. We have all our settings right here, and yeah. So in Zorin Appearance, we actually also have a theme tab. In the theme tab, we can change the accent color. So right now, it comes by default on blue. I turned it to green. I did have no purple for some time, but green, I really like the way the file manager looks, how it changes colors with the accent. Like, I think it's pretty beautiful, and the green just has something special in my opinion. It really fits the whole experience, and I like the way it looks. We also can have a light mode or a dark mode. The light mode is a little bit much to my eyes, if I do say so myself. In other, we can change our themes right here for the applications, icons, and the shell. So you can go ahead and add more icon themes if you wanted to, or system themes, and I think you should be able to change it from here. In interface, we can have our title bars on the left or the right. You can disable animations if you're running this on like a lower end computer with not as good hardware. And I did enable jelly mode. So jelly mode is pretty nice, and it just gives you that wobble effect when you move around your windows. I kind of like it. It's really not necessary. It's just a fun little add-on to have, and my computer can handle it, so I've left it on here. Activities overview hot corner, you can click right here and see your different desktops. It's pretty cool, it's useful, that's why I'm just going to leave that on. And in taskbar settings, you can customize this taskbar to however much you want, like by yourself. So you can make the panel size smaller, you can intel hide, all this stuff, just whatever you want to do. There is a lot to do in the Zorin taskbar application. In desktop, we can disable or enable icons on desktop. Icon size, we can make them smaller, standard, etc. And we can change the fonts in the font tab. So this app right here is really useful. I love the Zorin Appearance tab, I really do. So more to talk about my desktop, what extensions have I actually added to use? So if I open up the extensions application right here, I've only installed 3 by myself right here. So first of all, you can see that we installed Caffeine. So what is Caffeine? Caffeine is this thing right here. So if I click it, it says auto suspend and screensaver are disabled. So this is a little thing you can have on your taskbar. So like, let's say you're compiling something and it's going to take a long time. You want to go do something else in your kitchen or something, or in your living room, but you don't want your computer to go to sleep. Well, you can use this. You can just click this caffeine icon right here, and you can go out, and your computer, it won't go to sleep. But if you have it enabled, it will go to sleep. So it's just a really quick way to stop your computer from going to sleep, and not without having to go to the settings and find that little toggle and stuff. It's really quick, and it's kind of useful in some situations. In Patience, well, you do know that GNOME has kind of a long time with the animations. Like for example, opening this up, usually that takes a bit longer. So Impatience is for people who are impatient like me, I guess, and you can make it a lot faster. So right now I have it on 0.66, and this says right here that 1 is the default. So that's basically 1. So we click right here, you see it just takes a lot longer to open up our application menu. But since if you're impatient, you can go ahead and you can make it something like 0.61. And then you do that, and it just loads up a lot quicker. You still do get an animation, it's just not as long. So if you like me, you might want to try that out. It is pretty useful. And the pop shell, well, the pop shell actually is something that is pretty useful. So I can enable tile windows right here. I can open up my files application and my terminal. So it's kind of like I'm getting that Pop! OS experience on Zorin OS. So it's automatically going to tile my applications evenly, and I'll be able to use them really well with keyboard shortcuts, and it's just phenomenal when you want to have two applications open up and they be evenly divided. It is really awesome. It's really useful, and that's why, like here, I have 3 applications open on the same desktop. I can be going over here searching for Pi 4. I can be updating my system right here, and I can be doing something in the file manager right here, all really evenly divided. And let's say I'm done with the file manager, I don't want it anymore. I close it, bam, these automatically tile up. So if you're like me and you really do like that Pop! OS shell, but you want to have it on Zorin OS, you can actually do that, and I will leave a guide in the description to learn how to do that. So it just is really useful, and I love having the Pop shell available. So I can close that up. So yeah, that's basically the extensions that I have installed on my system. So if you do ask, like, do you have any special applications? I mean, not really, just my normal applications. One that I do have that is pretty useful, I would say, is ULauncher. Actually just installed this today for the video, but it is a really nice application. So let's say we open up right here, I could search for files. I open up files and bam, files automatically launches for me, and it's super quick. Rather than me going right here searching for files, I can just hit Control plus space, since that is the hotkey to enable ULauncher. Bam, I want terminal, go. I can open up super quickly, super fast, super snappy. It's just a really responsive experience. I just really do love it. And there actually is a setting to customize ULauncher right here, so it comes up on your taskbar. I don't want to go to About, I meant to go to Preferences. So we'll click right here. We'll go over here to the Preferences tab, so you can change the hotkey to something else if you don't want the default Control plus space. And it comes with just 4 themes. I honestly like the Elementary Dark, since it's like that darker type of theme, and it just fits well with my whole system. But you can go on the internet and find more ULauncher themes if you like. There are more available online too. I also toggle the launch at login to have it automatically launch when I turn on my system. And that's basically all that I had with ULauncher. I mean, you can even do web searches with it. I mean, the wrong hotkey. You could type in Pi 4 right here. It's going to Google search it for you. It's going to open up Firefox automatically for you and search that in there. So yeah, so that is pretty awesome. Yeah, so have I had any issues with Zorin OS? Honestly, not really. It's felt really snappy overall. Everything seems to work really well. Like the software right here, if I went to software and updater, everything just works well. Additional drivers, I am using the proprietary NVIDIA driver, but there is one issue with that I want to mention today. So actually, this morning, before making this video, I updated my system because there were quite a few updates, and I tried launching OBS, but I just got this error that said no, like NVNC hardware encoding wasn't working properly, because please update your drivers or something like that. And I was actually on the NVIDIA driver 470. I rebooted everything, I couldn't get it working, so I actually had to go and manually install the NVIDIA driver 460. I rebooted my system, and now as you can see, OBS is recording this video right now, and it is working. So I don't really know if that's Zorin OS's fault, OBS fault. It just was a little bug that I experienced this morning, which was a little bit annoying. But I mean, other than that, no, Zorin OS has been really good to me. I've been able to do everything I want to do on this operating system. I even was able to install Resolve. However, I do usually edit in Windows instead. Discord, well, one thing with Discord that I wish just worked on Linux, it's like you open up Discord, but you don't get that little bubble icon on here. I mean, that's obviously not like Zorin OS's fault or anything. I'm just ranting right now. I do wish that it showed like that little one bubble or how many pings you have or something, because that is something that Windows or Mac OS does. So that would just be something nice to have. But yeah, so that's a little tour of what my desktop, why I like this, and just some cool things about the Zorin OS Desktop. So what are some other great alternatives to this desktop? Well, other great alternatives, I would say my favorites would probably be Manjaro. I would go Manjaro No, Manjaro KD Plasma. Both of those are amazing choices. Plain Arch is really good if you want to go the hardcore gang. Arch is the best way to do it. You can be flexing by saying, by the way, I use Arch. And Pop! OS is an amazing desktop. If you like Zorin OS, chances are you're also going to love Pop! OS. It's a really similar desktop. I mean, the desktop experience tends to be more like Mac OS, but you still get that Pop! Shell. Everything works. It's easy. It's simple. That's why I would really recommend Pop! OS. And Linux Mint is also, it's an older Linux distribution, but it works really well. It's stable. It's like Ubuntu, but yeah, you get Flatpaks, I think, instead of snaps. So it's awesome. So yeah, those are just some other desktops that you might want to try. So conclusion, I just wanted to go over what Zorin OS felt like for me, how it worked, and Zorin OS seems to be really good for me, for my use case. Even though I do consider myself a little, like, more of a Linux user than a beginner, like, I have used Arch, I've installed it myself from the command line. Like, I would consider myself a little bit more of an advanced Linux user. Still, Zorin OS, I think it's a good Linux distribution for most people. So yeah, guys, if you think otherwise, if you have another Linux distribution that you really do enjoy, let me know in the comments below. And just anything you want to let me know, please let me know. So, I mean, thanks for watching.